Okay, do you mind saying and spelling both of your names real fast?
Sure.
I'm Diane Thornall. Last name is Thornal.
And I'm Ben Thornall, Thornal.
Perfect. All right, you two. So tell me, how did you guys meet?
We were in Vietnam. She was a Red Cross unit director. I was a platoon leader with an aviation reconnaissance platoon with an air cav troop with the 101st. We met in a mess hall and uh, struck up a conversation. Where we were at Camp Eagle was pretty far north in South Vietnam. And anyway, short version, I had an extra can of Arid Extra Dry spray deodorant, which you just couldn't come by where we were. And I gave her that can, and she gave me the rest of her life.
Wow. And Diane, from your perspective, how was meeting Ben for the first time?
It was very nice, very pleasant, but quite frankly, I thought he looked like an Ivy League guy, so I had no interest really until he gave me the can of Air Extra Dry. I have to tell you, he stood up in the middle of on the steps of his hooch. I was standing in the middle of a dirt road. No one was around. That was good. And he stood up and he said, on behalf of myself, General Zeiss, and the entire 101st Airborne Division, I present you, Diane Zetterval, which was my maiden name, with this can of Air Extra Dry. He had me at his sense of humor. I just laughed. It was so fun.
Oh, that's awesome. So, so you met in Vietnam. So what happens when you guys get home?
Well, we'd made plans. Diane's parents were great about setting up everything for the wedding. My parents' family came, um, and it was a wonderful wedding. And
It was a miracle, really, that we got together. Ben was from Tallahassee, Florida, and I was from Bellevue, Washington. And we met all the way on the other side of the world and fell in love. And I was stationed there at Eagle for a couple of months, and then I was promoted and transferred further south twice. And there's all kinds of stories which we won't go into about him getting to see me at Christmas and all those kinds of things. Wonderful, but and I came home about 2 weeks before he did, and then my parents and I met him at McChord Air Force Base, and he stayed with us a couple of days, and then went on to his new assignment at Fort Rucker, Alabama, and that's where we were first stationed together, of course. And I was out of the Red Cross by then, but did lots of volunteer work throughout his Army career.
Right on, right on. So I have one more question for you guys. So timeline-wise, so you meet in Vietnam, and sometime later you come home, you have this wedding. How long was it between those two, like meeting, coming home, and getting married? How long were you guys?
Probably 8 months,
yeah,
wouldn't you say?
I think that's a good guess.
About 8 months.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and
We talked to when I was down further south, we talked to each other every night on a phone system which was really strange. I mean, it was like over and stuff like that. And there were operators.
we had to go through 5 operators. It was all landlines on military crank phones. And the operators were fantastic. We knew they were listening, which is we didn't care. We got to talk, and they did say some things once we got engaged, which was in Vietnam.
Yeah, it was like hooray or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
Sure.